Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Joining me on this cold Wednesday. I don't know if it's cold where you are, but it's cold where I am.
It was 74 degrees here today.
Oh, you lucky. You're so lucky. Thank you for joining me and my brewskis that are going to be joining us shortly. I think how I want to just approach this, because I'm really anxious to hear about Broadhead Manor. Now,
Yeah.
when we really quick, when me and you first started talking, I kept on it kept my messages, I kept saying Broadmoor, right? Just so you know,
You did.
brother lives in a development called Broadmoor. So, and I
Okay.
typed that a lot. So I think it
Okay.
was just auto correcting to Broadmoor. And when I went back and looked, I was like, oh my God.
It's perfectly fine. Basically, Broadhead Manor is in Broadhead, Wisconsin. We do own a haunted building. It was an old middle school. The state of Wisconsin made us turn it in. They made us change the name when we bought it for our haunted attraction. So we kept thinking, okay, we're in the town of Broadhead. It's a huge building. I'd love to, I'd love to keep the name of it, the old middle school, but they wouldn't allow me to do that. So we thought, okay, Broadhead Manor. It looks like an old high school, but if I really wanted, go ahead.
No. I forgot you said it's in Broadhead, so I was like, "How did you come up with the name?" But it was in the town. I answered my own question in my head. So go ahead.
Right.
Sorry.
But basically, if I really want to, I can make this a 60,000 square foot home for myself if I really wanted to.
Wow.
It is a huge building. It's not a typical little middle school from 1906. It's a 3-story big complex.
Yeah.
We've got a full-size gymnasium. We've got a full-size cafeteria. We've got a little kitchen area. We've got a huge boiler room. There's just so many different things about this building that it's just amazing to be there. When we purchased it, we decided to purchase it for a haunted attraction. Haunted house. Let's do this. I wanted to get out of the woods. I wanted to go have fun. Being indoors where I don't have to deal with the rain, the snow, everything that happens in October in Wisconsin. Right. So we decided, okay, we moved the haunted house in. We started running. The first year we bought it was 2018, and we opened that same year. We cleaned the building out. We got it ready. We built the haunted house. We ran 3,500 people through our first haunted house. So that's a lot of people in the month of October. We were averaging anywhere between 400 to 500 people a night for Fridays and Saturdays. So
wow, that's awesome.
Well, let me go back. I'm a skeptic, a total skeptic. I should say, until I own this building now 6 years and realized it's truly haunted.
Yeah.
We had some of the old janitors that the building closed in 1996, so it's relatively recent enough that we still are in contact with the old janitors, with the old teachers. Some of the old principals even are around town. So we do an open house once a year, and they all come to the open house to see what we're doing with the school because they love the school so much. And during that, we reminisce and we hear the stories of back in the day. This school did this and this. We did this in the school and that in the school. Well, they all would say basically there were odd things that would happen inside the school that they could not explain.
Mhm.
And I said, really? That's really odd, because when we ran our haunted house, I ran the electricity for the haunted house. And if you're all on one circuit, how can half that circuit shut off and the other half turn on? And then you flip a switch, the circuit breaker on and off, and now it's the opposite.
Right.
And then when I'm walking back to flip the switch again, it switches on its own. It's going back and forth. So
Yeah.
something's playing with the electricity.
Yeah.
We,
And
we
sorry.
it's okay. So when
Well,
things like that start happening, you start to wonder what's going on in this school. You
right.
know.
Yeah. So
So
when you originally purchased it,
hey, Jamie,
hey Jamie, you weren't you didn't hear any claims of paranormal stuff. You just were purchasing it because you wanted to do a haunted attraction.
I just wanted to do a haunted attraction. That's it.
So what got you into the haunted attraction thing? Like if you like were you into the paranormal previously or
Nope.
were you just
I've never been into the paranormal. I've never really batted an eye to it
right.
until I was approached by Dan Norville and Larry Eisler with Expedition Entity,
Oh, I love
and
them. I had them on. I've had them on.
they yep, they were the first ones to ever investigate Broadhead Manor, and they came through and they're like, hey, I want to tell you something, but you have spirits throughout your building. We can't tell how many. We don't know what's going on. Here comes your tea.
Yes.
um,
Thank you. Go ahead.
but they said, don't take our word for it. We really need you to call up other groups, which they gave me names to other groups, and invite them in and see what they find. And let's collaborate when they're all done and see what we all got and where we got it. And yes, Darren, I am trouble.
Usually that's me, so I'm glad it's you this time.
he, wa- he he was just up at the building last weekend, so he had a good time. um, so when we collaborated, we realized that these certain rooms had certain entities in them, and we were all getting the same responses, in each room when they all, combined all our evidence together. And it wasn't just the K2s or the REM pods or, this SB7 said this and this what the Ovilus said this and, stuff like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
They were using multiple items throughout the entire thing. Hey, Jenny. Um, so yeah, we had a good time with them guys coming in.
Yeah.
And then I sat down with Dan and Larry again, and they're like, you have a paranormal hotspot. You need to open it up so the more of the paranormal world will come in. And
Right.
I had no idea of what to do, how to do it, whatever. So they took me under their wing and basically guided me through the process. And now we're set up, and every time I open up weekends, everybody books them out. Within a week after I announce a certain amount of dates, we book out.
That's awesome. I love that. Like I love that you bought this building. You were like, I just want a haunted attraction. That's it.
Yep.
And you wound up inadvertently having a real haunted
Haunted
building.
attraction.
And
Yes.
what's great is that, you still have people that have worked there, that have been there, that that are outside of the paranormal, professional people, teachers, principals, janitors,
Right.
people that can confirm that, yeah, weird stuff happened here. Now, did it take a couple of things to convince you that you owned this haunted building,
Yeah.
or was it really quick? And also, after you learned it was occupied by the unseen, were you then did you battle like not wanting, like were you afraid to go in there? Did you go through things like that? I
Nope.
would.
Basically, when we started discovering things were happening, the main one that started the whole thing was We had a clown called Bob. Well, this clown is just a static prop. He doesn't move. He doesn't do anything. And I know your view on clowns.
Yes.
Well, we put a platform 14 feet off the floor on a basketball hoop. And when we put the clown up on that platform, I aimed him directly at our gym doors. So when people walk through the door, you see that clown, you freak out. Everybody's reaction is the same thing.
Right.
We left for a week. You know, I live an hour away from the building. I actually do not live in the building. So we left for a week and we came back up to start working again. And Bob, his whole head and shoulders is one piece. It moved and was looking at the other wall. And
Oh,
I'm looking around like, okay,
no,
where's the ladder? Who climbed up
Bill.
there? Who moved Bob?
If that
We
happened, Bill, I would be like, Bill, you need to call whoever's at your house and say you're having a guest stay with you tonight because I would not be staying there. I'll tell you that right
right.
now.
Well, it happened over 2 or 3 days that I would leave and I would come back and Bob would be in a different position.
Oh no.
So I'm being a skeptic. I'm saying, okay, no problem. If Bob's moving, it's got to be the railroad tracks behind us. The vibration from the train is causing him to move. I'm going to debunk anybody or anything that comes into my building unless you can truly verify that you've caught something that other people have caught. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I would rather disprove it than prove it,
Right.
just for my own state of mind that I'm not crazy. You know what I mean?
Right. No, well, not only that, but I mean, nowadays, locations really do because there are locations out there, not saying yours at all, but there are locations out there that do lie about having a haunted place.
Correct. Correct.
And I give more respect to people that open their buildings up or their houses or their manors, their mansions, or whatever they got, and they say, come investigate, see if you
Right.
find something, right? And
Right.
there's gonna be times where people don't, there's gonna be times that people do, there's gonna be, you're I give more respect to those people that are like, like, look, this is what I had happen, but do your own research, do your own investigating, see what you come up with, and instead of saying and drilling it into people's heads, like, yeah, no, it's haunted and da, 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 and trying to just everything is paranormal because we all know not
Right.
everything is paranormal,
Correct.
So I
Now, see
respect
that
that too.
a lot of groups that come in, I'll say, okay, you got, if you're in our gym, you might get close to one of our phones or one of our, there might be a microwave working or something like that. I'll try to disprove it that way. But over the years, I know what happens in my building, and I know for a fact if you will discover it. You know what I mean? If our spirits, they are very intelligent. I mean, more intelligent than you could think because they're learning everybody's devices. If you bring in a if you bring in a brand new device and you teach them how to use it, they will actually, if they're present, they will figure it out and use it.
Yeah.
And if
You know,
I'm around,
I was gonna ask you too, because you said that it's a lot of the same thing. So I was gonna say if you could maybe tell us a little bit about the stuff that people get, because I was under the impression at first that it was might have been residual only because it sounded like it's the
yes,
same stuff, but you're saying that it's
it's
intelligent. So
it's intelligence. When to show you how intelligent this just happened this summer. Okay, we back in late May, early June, or yeah, it was late May. Somebody came in. This kid Ethan Kumarati came in. He's with Paranormal Exposures. He does Estes sessions. Well, it was just him, a cameraman, and myself. When we sat down and started the Estes, I was sitting 26 feet away from him and I was whispering the questions. Ethan was on the swinging chair. I've got a swinging hammock chair. Well, he was sitting in this hammock chair and it was perfectly motionless. Well, all of a sudden, he didn't move at all. He laid perfectly still, and the swing started swinging back and forth, and then it started going in a circle, and then it went backwards, and it started
like a
making its own
pendulum,
circle. Yeah.
almost like a
And
pendulum.
I go, there's only one spirit here I know that has that much energy, and that's my spirit Norman. He's a 13-year-old boy that went to school there. Nobody has died in my building ever. It's just they say you go to your happy place when you pass on. You go to your happy place. You reside there for your little, your limbo, and then you pass over into the bright light and go on.
Uh,
Um,
hold
Dan
on,
Norville actually crossed Norman over, but
your phone's breaking up a little bit.
I'm sorry. Let me
That's
move out
okay.
just a little bit. There we go.
There
How's
you go. Yeah, that's good.
that?
Um,
Dan
I'm glad
Norville.
you.
Dan
I'm
Norville had
glad.
come in.
Yeah, go
Well,
ahead.
Dan Norville came in and said uh, he crossed Norman over for me.
Right.
So
So
when
you
he
don't.
crossed Norman over, I didn't what?
So I was gonna say, so you don't
Sorry, you
have
broke that a little
interaction.
bit.
You don't have interactions with him anymore. Like he's not there.
Yes, we do.
Oh,
Dan said you could come back and visit any time. So Norman does come back and visit. During the session, I asked Norman, why do you keep coming? He says to hear you. And I'm
it's
there.
breaking up.
And I said I'm perfectly fine. You know, the, I have no health problems.
Right.
Well, then about 2 weeks later, after this whole thing that he said he was here to heal me, I hurt my back. Well, I couldn't walk for almost 2 months.
Oh wow.
Well, during that process of me hurting my back, they discovered I had a tumor on my kidney.
Oh
And
wow.
they just removed the tumor out of my kidney in September. Well, it
Oh
was
my gosh.
stage 4 cancer.
Oh my gosh,
It was,
Bill.
and the thing was, they said it was perfectly contained and it fell off my kidney instead of them having to dig it off my kidney.
Really?
And they said it hadn't burst and it hadn't spread in through my system yet. So basically I'm cancer free again.
Yay.
And the tumor is removed. And all of a sudden, just a couple weekends ago, we were in another Estes session, and Norman came through and said, "You're healed."
That's interesting,
Now,
I mean,
it's really odd. It made me a firm believer at that point. I'm like, okay, my spirits are here to help me. You know what I
that's
mean?
awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important to have that with location owners that spend a lot of time in these places, that you build that rapport, if you will, with the other side, because I do
You do.
think that once they realize, what you're doing there, you're not there to be disrespectful. You're not there to do things to, destroy the place and this and that. I think once they have that trust, that
Right.
it's like,
Right.
balance, I think then they start to help a little bit,
Yes, they do. Um, there's been so many over the past 6 years. There's so many things been recorded and everything that's been documented at our building and stuff like that. We've had so far, I think it's 4 documentaries filmed at the building now. I've had a full length 2 hour horror film filmed at the building. We've had multiple bands come in and, use our stage and everything like that. Use the haunted house props and stuff to promote their bands and make videos and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Um, we've exploded. We've really exploded this year, and doing the different podcasts that I am now with you and with Darren and with multiple others, it's getting the name Broadhead Manor out there.
Well,
Um,
yeah.
we
Well,
we do.
that's what I was gonna say, like, in the beginning, I was gonna say, you know, I'm on the East Coast, so, and there's a lot of people on the East Coast. We have a lot of cool locations, but,
Oh yes,
nobody really knows what goes on outside of, that East Coast line, you know what I mean? And that's why I
oh yeah,
like to bring people on that are, from other, other parts of the United States so that, you know, I mean, I want a road trip out there. You know what I mean? I never thought to go to
Yeah.
Wisconsin. What to go to Wisconsin for? You know what I mean? And I'm like,
Well,
now I have to go to Wisconsin.
well, just up the street we have the Beast of Brer Road. It's just up the street from us. Just south of us is a little place called the Devil's Playground, which is in a little town called Avon. That's only maybe a mile from us. And the cemetery, the swings swing on their own. The merry-go-round goes around on its own. On calm, windless nights, things are out there playing with the playground.
Oh, that's cool.
Um, they've had multiple sightings of spirits and disembodied, figures walking around.
Um, yeah, I like, yeah, these are things that I'm all learning. And like, and I have to thank Darren because I only heard of Broadhead because of Darren. You know what I mean? So it's
Right, right.
the networking is important, with all this, and that's
Yes,
why
it is.
I mean, this year will be 7 years for the brew. And my main
No,
thing
that's
is
awesome.
bringing people on to showcase their locations, what they do,
Right.
to get it out there because people need to see that stuff, not just what people are, the live investigation on YouTube and all that stuff. I want people to get to know the people that own these places,
Right.
and know the history of the places and the location where they're getting into, and know that there's places, that they can go if they want to go,
Right.
the good
Right.
places. I try to steer clear from, I do a little, research on my own, before I have somebody on my show, because I try to give my audience, as legit stuff as possible. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I don't want to, I don't want
I
people to
don't
get,
I would not want anybody making up anything about Broadhead Manor. I want them to come in and know that we have researched it. We have went to the local historical society. We've talked to all the local residents. We've talked to just so many different outlets to know about our building, and I'm still learning more every day. I mean, lately we've during some Estes sessions and some like necrophonics, I don't really believe in that too much, but like the spirit talkers and your different devices on your phone, we've had things come across that tell us that there are soldiers walking up and down the halls. Well, in our middle school in a little town of Broadhead, we wouldn't have soldiers or militia. Well, come to find out, up the street is the um, National Armories for Janesville. Well,
oh,
when the Korean War and the Vietnam War were happening and they were drafting soldiers left and right, they had to house them and they had to make up makeshift camps before they shipped them overseas. Well, on our property was one of those makeshift camps. So now we're getting soldiers walking through, and
wow.
coming through the devices.
Huh.
It's something that everybody was questioning me about it, and I'm like, no, there's never been anything like that. Well, I did some research, and this is what I found out. Maybe that's why they're there. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Um, Devices aside, have you ever
Okay.
had any personal experiences or things that have happened that you just can't explain that have happened to you?
Too many to explain. Trust me. I
What's
was
something that sticks out
I
to
was on a
you?
scaffold, a couple of them. I was working on scaffolding, rolling scaffoldings to get me off the floor and everything. While I was painting the hallway. What?
It's breaking
Are
up
you
a
there?
little bit. Yeah, it's breaking up a little bit.
Okay. Is that better?
So yeah, okay, go
Is
ahead.
that better?
You said you were on a. I didn't know. Start over.
I was working on a rolling scaffolding.
Okay,
One of
thank
those
you.
scaffoldings that you can roll down the hallway. I was up
Yes.
about 5 feet off the floor. Well, I didn't lock the wheels. And when I didn't lock the wheels, I heard something run down the hallway, and it felt like a football player hit that scaffolding. And there was nobody else in the building but me. I was covered in white paint and just yelling at him. You need to stay away from my scaffolding. At that point, I was done. I had locked the wheels every time I climbed up it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it
I
got
mean,
pretty
do you
bad.
think that maybe they didn't know what you were doing because you're like repainting or you're remodeling, and so maybe they were like, "What are you doing? I
Yep,
want you to stop."
pretty much. Pretty much
Yeah,
is what I'm figuring is, or they wanted to mess with me. They call themselves the younger ones call themselves tricksters and pranksters. They run through the building and mess with people.
they
Yeah,
what?
they mess they mess with people left and right. Um,
In a fun
they
way.
will call themselves demons. Yeah, they'll call themselves demons, and then they'll say he's coming right when I'm walking down the hallway, and then all of a sudden when I get home, everybody's asking who's coming, and they go Satan. And then as soon as I walk in the room, hi Bill. So they do know me by name.
Uh-huh. So,
So it
you're
is
saying,
fun.
yeah, you're saying this like that it's coming through like spirit boxes and stuff like that, right? Um,
Yeah, the SB7s, the portal boxes, the Bugsy boxes, stuff like that.
yeah.
You're getting my name left and right in this building, and they're calling me Satan and them calling themselves demons.
Huh. I mean, I do know that
So
that's yeah, that's something that, and I'm glad that you take that as like, they're being facetious, or they're being, like
I
they're
know they're being facetious.
yeah, saying that, and I like that. You're not saying um
There is no evil presence in my building. There are three grumpy old men and two old elementals. The elementals protect the land. They'll tell you, protect land, elemental, sacred. They they do some wild stuff. If you disrespect them in any way, shape, fashion, or form, they'll cause migraines. They'll cause you to throw up. They'll put a fear of God into you that you wouldn't even know would hit you. You'll
right.
just suddenly get scared and run off the property
But
without
that's only
knowing what you're doing.
right, and that's only if you're disrespectful in the place.
If you call them out and you're disrespectful to them, they will lash out at you. Otherwise, they leave you alone. They're perfectly
Yeah.
fine. See,
So go ahead.
if you wanted to know a little bit about the building, the building itself, half of it was built
Just
in
gonna
19
ask. I was just
the
gonna
half
ask you. Go ahead.
half half of the building was built in 1906. The other half was built in 1936. Before the 1906 building, there was an 1865 building.
Oh,
And the 1865 was an entirely limestone building.
oh,
Well, they
interesting.
they knocked that building down and built the 1906 half of our building on the limestone foundation.
Awesome.
And now you want to go even further, you dig down, like in our gymnasium, if you were to dig up the gym floor and go down 3 feet where the foundation sits, we're on solid limestone bedrock. So
Nice.
we have a lot of limestone surrounding us. Now you want to go one step further. In the very back southeast corner of our property, we have an Indian burial mound that was leveled by the railroad tracks. When it when they came through Broadhead with the railroad tracks, they actually flattened nine, or it's either six or nine Indian burial mounds, just pushed them off onto the fields.
Which would
With a
explain, Darren had said earlier, the peace offerings and stuff like that. That totally
Yes,
explains why people would do that as well. Because I know that when I go to places where I hear there's Indian burial grounds or Indian,
yes.
reservations and stuff like that, I always do like to do, a little peace offering or an offering to the land. Just I'm not. I don't.
Well,
I don't know if I don't want to say this and then, knock on
had to come
wood,
back
but
and get you.
um yeah, I don't know if I'm like 100%, a believer in all of that kind of stuff, but I do it because I'm superstitious and I do it
Yes,
because it feels right. It feels right. It makes me
I
feel
I am part Native American,
yeah.
and I was raised with the Winnebago tribe. When I was very young, when I was 6, 7, 8 years old, I really do have their beliefs. I love their beliefs. I love everything spiritual about them. Everything has a spirit, and there is a creator. The earth has a spirit. Trees, plants, animals, humans, everybody has spirits that move on. So I do myself make offerings just to keep the peace, is how I put
Right.
it.
Yeah.
I'm not,
Yeah.
bad things do not happen if I keep making the offerings, and things tend to get better if I make the offerings.
Yeah.
They
I
make it
mean,
a little easier on me.
yeah, we did that when we went to Hinsdale. It's the first time I've ever done anything like that. We went to Hinsdale and we actually planted peach trees and we took stuff
Hmm.
up to like a giving tree or something like that, and we did it. And honestly, whether it's psychological or not, it felt better. So I feel like it helped with
Yes, it does.
ease, and we were able to just have a better investigation outside, and inside afterwards.
Yes.
So let me tell you. So
Well,
we have
to,
we have Indonesia, watching. We have Canada, Maryland, Florida, Arizona, Cody Drake, treasure hunter, Arizona.
yeah,
Um, yes. Um, so a lot of people are learning about Broadhead right now from all over. I
nuts.
mean, I say world because of Indonesia.
Right,
Shayna's from Indonesia, so
right.
I just wanted to.
Well, if
Oh,
you
and
want to
India.
elaborate even more, if you
Yeah,
want to elaborate even more, we have the uh, we have the railroad tracks behind our building.
oh,
That railroad
wow.
tracks is a conductor to the big cemetery 4 blocks away. There's a huge cemetery 4 blocks away from our school. Everybody in that cemetery went to school in that middle school. So we've got the connection of the iron rails to our building, which people pass through, is what we're guessing on that part of it. Um, we also
So it's
had,
almost like a little hotbed of like all
of-
these conductors. You got all
yes,
these conductors going on, and
and that's what I like to research.
yeah.
And we also researched into it, and one of the ley lines that flows through Milwaukee, Wisconsin, comes directly through the center of Broadhead, Wisconsin.
Oh,
So
wow.
we're sitting near a ley line on that part. So the entire town, not just my building, the entire town of Broadhead has different entities in every building. Um, the bars down there say in the middle of the night there'll be beer bottles and everything like that pushed off their bars, or down in the basement they'll hear a bunch of glasses break, but nothing's down there broken. They just keep saying more and more stuff is happening downtown. In the opera house that's downtown, there's supposed to be an evil entity in there that literally when you walk in that building, you'll hear some growl at you.
Mm,
Every single time I've gone in there, I've been growled at. So it's just not our building. It's just I decided to open up the aspect of the paranormal to my building. Let other
right.
people see what I'm experiencing and tell me that I am not crazy.
Right. No, and I think that's awesome. I mean, and like I said, there's going to be people that say, "Well, I didn't find anything," or "I didn't." There may be. I don't know if there has been anybody yet, but there may
Yes,
be. And and in that
I
case, I mean,
I can't make my spirits come out and play with you.
right,
There are nights that building is so quiet you could hear a pin drop anywhere in that building and not hear a single thing for a week straight. But
right.
then all of a sudden, that building is so alive, you can't walk through there without freaking out. I
So, do
mean,
you notice a difference when you do so how long do you put the haunted attraction on for? Like, do you notice if anything is there an uptick, or are they more quiet, or, because
believe it
they
or not, believe it or not, I have a way to bring more energy into the building. Sure, um, groups of people that come through. If I bring in a paracon or I bring in a live band for the night or something like that, it's going to bring more energy into the building and the people have fun. I mean, everybody gets something like when we had spirits in the spring for our Paracon last April, the ghost town afterwards was so alive. People were like, "You have something going on in every single room of your building," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know that. I can feel it. I just feel the energy moving in the building."
Yeah.
Um, I'll go in. This is my new thing. They love music. All of my spirits in my building love music. They'll
Who
actually
doesn't
tell
love music?
they'll tell you on the third floor, music, stage, downstairs now, let's go, run, turn music on, stuff like that. Well, I've got a really huge, powerful stereo system on stage, 9 big speakers, and we put a DVD on of just house music and stuff, and you can actually feel the goosebumps start on your arms as the energy builds in that building. And I've had people put the SLS cameras on stationary on a table and aim it at the stage and
Uh-huh.
watch stick figures start gathering from the sides into the center of the gym and start dancing.
Wow.
We've had up to 5 or 6 different spirits start dancing around the gym floor, and as soon as the music stops, they all disappear.
Hmm.
Turn the music back on, they all appear again.
Well, I'm a fan of using music on investigations. I learned this when the Kling brothers, when they were out with their show. I don't know if you remember,
Yes.
they had a show, Ghost Lab, and
Hmm.
they introduced to me, I don't know, whatever, but they introduced to me error cues. So I always try to like play some music. I always wind up dancing at some point,
Hmm.
but I think stuff like that is always a good that's I don't want to use, I mean, it's provoking, but not bad provoking, like how people think.
Correct.
That is
It,
just
it to me it
trying to
doesn't provoke.
appease.
It makes my spirits happy. Let them do it. Let them play. If you'll get more evidence. If I know a lot of investigators come in, they're very serious. They want all the evidence they can. They want no contamination whatsoever.
Mhm.
But the best way to investigate my building is let me turn the music on in the gym. You know what I mean? Not loud, not super loud, because as soon as you leave the gym's soundproof. You
Right.
might hear a little faint, I mean, real faint music in the background. But when you're going through the building, it's relatively quiet. You can still investigate. And they get, with the music playing, they get more evidence than if I turn that music off. I mean,
Interesting.
it's amazing what happens.
So
Um, I think
going back
my
to
my
what was
spirits are attuned to it.
well, yeah, I think no matter what, I mean, even our own internal spirit that we have, music is like an I don't know how to word this, but it's like an unspoken communication type of a thing.
Language.
You can feel it. It can change your mood like that. It makes you happy when you're
Yep.
sad. Or it can make you sad when you're happy. It depends on what you're listening to and what vibes with you. And I know it's hard to pick and choose, but I mean, you can when you start to play stuff, I think, and then you see you're getting, interaction with maybe, you're hearing disembodied voices or you're getting whatever, then you say, okay, like I think Darren it was like the loud heavy music. Heavy music? I don't know what that is. Does he mean heavy metal? Do they like heavy metal?
Heavy metal music. Yep. Heavy metal music they love.
That's interesting. Because you
The
think,
minute I put on rock with the haunted house, we play a lot of Rob Zombie and Pantera, and all the different bands and whatnot, all the heavy metal bands, and that place just ramps up. Our spirits do play with the haunted house by we had a totally black maze where you couldn't bring a cell phone in or anything. You had to feel your way through the maze to get yourself to the other side.
oh wow.
Well, in the middle of that, I had actors in there that were afraid to be in there almost because they kept saying white lights that shoot across the room and a 12-foot ceiling. And it
Hmm.
wasn't cell phones and it wasn't somebody throwing a lighted ball across the room. It was lights going back and forth like orbs. And the
Oh,
actors come running out. They're like, "We're not going back in that room." I'm like, "Yes, you are. You have to act in there." Well, no, there's something in there that's messing with us.
that's interesting.
And they weren't dim lights, they were bright lights. Because whatever would drop behind a wall that's only 6 inches wide would light up from behind the wall. Because I went in there and saw that glow coming from behind the wall, and I went back there and with a drill and everything to take the wall apart to see who dropped a flashlight back there. There was nothing back there.
Wow.
But
I mean,
as soon as
go ahead.
as soon as I put the wall back up, that glow came back. I'm like, okay, now somebody's messing with
Right. Somebody you can't see is messing with
me.
you.
So right, pretty much. Or, I'll knock on a wall and then 3 walls away, something else will knock. It's like, okay, now they're imitating me. We just had a group in there. I make a distinct laugh. I run a haunted house. Not too much scares me, but I just walk around going, just freaking somebody out.
Well, that would freak me
And
out.
that's a distinct laugh. We just
Yeah.
had a guy go into our boys' bathroom, and there's a false wall behind the boys' bathroom to get back to the pipe and stuff where you can actually walk back there. And it's funny because he took his camera and light and shown it that there was a back walkway back there, and you heard my laugh on the video recorder. Well, I
Oh,
happened to be standing in the room, and I said, okay, maybe it was me that I wanted to debunk this. I may have laughed, and you may have caught it on your camera. I told him bring the camera back the following weekend, which he did, and I went to 5 positions in that room, even behind the wall, and gave the exact laugh, and we could not duplicate what was on that camera.
wow.
I mean, we tried hard.
Well, that they do say that
So,
sometimes, I always question if this is okay. So residual is really like the earth capturing, and you have limestone, you have all this stuff, right? So the earth is
yep,
capturing,
yep,
um, you know,
Photoshop.
it's a recording, right? A natural recording
Yes,
of earth,
yes,
and there's been times where, we've been places and, somebody was like, okay, I'm leaving, bye. And then like 10 minutes later, we would hear their voice, or we'd be like, wait a minute, didn't she leave?
yep,
You know,
right,
so
yep.
you don't know if that's what's happening, or if it's spirit just mocking to get somebody to think
It's a
it's you.
mimic.
Yeah, or a
Yes.
mimic, right?
Now,
I mean, the
I've
possibilities.
I have something that will mimic my whistle. Like I'll be whistling for the dogs, and all of a sudden I hear my whistle downstairs, and I'm
Oh,
like,
that's
okay,
cool.
I'm up here. How can I be downstairs whistling? You know what I mean? And
See, stuff like that impresses me so much more than any of the equipment stuff. Like, I love
right.
disembodied voices. I love the unexplained voices, the unexplained, like when people hear disembodied voices or the things on the EVPs. And, for
Yes.
me, when I love to do experiments with EVPs, EVP bursts, EVP, all kinds of stuff like that. Cause that's my thing. I love it.
Yep.
So whistling happens to be one of the biggest things that I feel like it's again, music, first of all,
Mhm.
but music, but whistling seems to be something that is more and more captured.
Yes.
Um, I I was at White Hill Mansion. We captured a whistle. Every place you go almost, I have not every place, but a lot of the places I've been going, whistles seem to be one of those things. So I don't know if that's something that's easy for them to.
It very well could be. I mean, it's like upstairs in our gift shop area, we've got, it looks like an old Victorian parlor. We have a Victorian couch over in the corner, and everybody's seen pictures of it. If you see our website, or not our website, our Facebook page, everybody wants to get pictures on this Victorian couch because just the way the room is decorated, it looks really
I
cool.
like it. Yeah.
Well, every time I sit down on that couch, something behind the couch growls at me. It just goes, "Urgh."
You
And
and then
then
there's nothing in the couch. There's nothing behind the couch.
there's
There's nothing anywhere.
there's nothing anywhere around it.
And
And
anytime anybody else sits on it, it doesn't happen.
no, there's been a couple of people that have caught it
Okay.
now.
Yeah.
Um, I was doing an interview for episode 1 for Expedition Entity for their Paraflix special. And as soon as I sat down on that couch, Larry Eisler caught on his boom mic that growl. Well,
Oh.
my dog jumped over the couch trying to attack whatever was behind the couch. And there was nothing there.
Oh, wow. That's
And
interesting.
we got this all on film. You know,
Oh,
it
that's
we you know, during that same episode, we've had Dan was doing an interview with me at the table. And we couldn't hear it. Dan and I didn't hear it, but somebody was bouncing a tennis ball on the table, and you could hear it clear as day in all of our microphones.
wow. Um,
And there was nobody in the room bouncing a tennis ball.
wow. That's cool. I have one more question, and then Darren, who I love to death. I mean, he's got 2 questions. His questions are always good. But
Yeah,
I wanted to ask you because you said it was before it was 18. There's a building there. Do you know what the building was in 1865 that was there prior to
it was
Broadhead?
the original. It was the original Broadhead schoolhouse. It was a
Wow,
6 room. It was a 2-story 6-room schoolhouse. I have pictures of it,
so cool.
and I've got pictures of every stage of that building sitting in our gift shop area at the building, just so everybody that comes in can read up some history on the building. You know,
Yeah,
I want paranormal investigators that come through to have a really good experience. I don't want them to come in like some owners give you the keys and say, "Have at it, it's yours." I I give you an hour-long tour through the building and I'll give you history on the building and stuff like that. I'm always present in the building, so if you catch something and you really want to explain, me to try to explain it, I can come look at it and try to explain it for you. Um, if you do an overnight, we have guest rooms now that people can actually come stay in. Um, Wake me up in the middle of the night. I don't care. I'm there for you, not for just to make money. Everything that we do at that building, any ounce of money we make goes directly back into the restoration of the building.
well, yeah,
So I'm not there
yeah,
for
because I
profit.
don't think. I mean, the rooms to sleep in, they weren't always there, right? I mean, I think that you have
Nope.
restored those so that people can stay there. I mean, and the money that you've made for
Yes.
putting into the building is what you're using to restore it, which I love. That is my favorite part of being a part of stuff like this, you know?
Right. We want to restore the building and keep it around for a lot more years. We don't want it to just go away. I mean, before I bought the building, it was 1 week from being tore down. So we
Wow.
saved it from being tore down by buying
Now
it.
was so
Um,
why did they tear down the one in 1865? Was that already just totally like just
there
unrepairable?
in the last years of it, there was a major fire that did injure some of the kids that were there. Didn't kill anybody, but did burn some kids, teachers and stuff. So sorry if I keep going dark.
Okay.
um,
It's breaking up a little bit, but I'm
but
able to follow what you're saying. I hope everybody else that's watching can too. So go
okay.
ahead.
Um, but what I was saying is the building did have a fire in it, and it did damage it to where they needed a new building. They had to tear the old one down. So
Yeah.
when they tore the old one down, it they built our 1906 half on top of it and doubled the size of the building.
Wow. Well, I'm glad they did that, you
So
know, and did you have to like fight to keep like to because if they obviously they wanted to tear it down, or are they just like if somebody wants to buy it, here it is, but if not, we're tearing it down.
pretty much, they couldn't find anybody that really wanted to buy it, so they were just going to level the building and then sell off the pieces of property. Is to build something new on it.
Right.
We are in the center of a residential area, so they could have built a total of 12 houses on our property.
Wow.
We decided, let's keep the building. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
sit on 3 acres right in the middle of town.
That's awesome.
So,
Now, how long do people
uh,
have? Did you How long do people have to investigate? Like, obviously, overnight would be recommended. It sounds like it's a pretty big building. I mean,
Well,
y-
I'll let everybody know exactly what I tell everybody. If you want to come in, we do a 8-hour investigation. It goes from 6 p.m. till 2 a.m. in the morning, and that is $45 a person.
that's not
To come in and
expensive.
investigate, no matter how many people you have.
That's not expensive at all.
If you come in and if you want to do the overnight, it's $60 a person or $65 a person. Sorry, and that goes from 6 p.m. to 9 a.m. the next morning. Unless unless you're Darren Bus comes in, I tell him you could want to stay till noon. Stay till noon. I don't care.
Okay, wait, so it was 9 p.m. till when?
9 a.m. the next morning. It's
Okay, gotcha.
until 9 a.m. the next morning. So you
You
get a
know,
total of like 15 hours to investigate.
and one thing I will say is I have to commend you on the price of that because locations are charging so much money to investigate,
Yes.
uh, especially when they are known to be highly active, and that just goes to show that you aren't doing this to get anybody, you're not doing this for the wrong reasons. You're doing
No.
this for the right reasons. It's a reasonable price. I mean, I paid more in some places to investigate. Like to me, that's an amazing price. No matter how many people I have, no matter how
Right.
this is what the price is per person. And I think that's fantastic. Thank you for that. That is amazing.
You're welcome. Well, we also have a concession stand in the gym that has a fully stocked refrigerator with water in there for everybody to. You come in, you get all the water you can drink for free, out of bottled water. We also supply. I'll make popcorn throughout the night. If I've happened to visit the local cheese shop, I'll make a cheese platter and crackers for everybody that comes in. I do a
Oh,
lot
good
of
for you.
stuff for people.
Well, I'm gonna show. I show up there. You're making cheese and crackers. I'll be like, let me get my wine. Like, I'm gonna be like, who? you know, it's interesting
And
because I think a lot of times, um, spirits will interact more when you're not trying to communicate and when you're just having conversations amongst
exactly,
yourself. I honestly think
it's
that sometimes it's better.
I feel my spirit shut down with people that come through and what's your name? How old are you? How many are you? Who's here? Stuff like that. When you're getting asked that same question over and over and over, I'd walk away too. You know what I mean? Come in. We just had a perfect experiment done a few weeks ago with a group called Paranormal Exposures. They took one of our old chalkboards and they wrote on the chalkboard 4 - 1 equals, and the person that was their Estes said 3. Then they go, what is 5 - 2? And it said again, 3. What
Huh.
is 722 minus 4? Well, it came across 718.
Nah. Wow, that's pretty
Yes,
cool. Um,
they
let
were
me let
really
me
trying to confuse. Go ahead.
No, that's good. I like that. I like that they were doing off the wall stuff to see, that to
Right.
get the answers. I mean, I when I was in Gettysburg one time and I am on Little Round Top, and if you know, that's where the 20th Maine fought. And I'm sitting
Okay.
there and I was doing an EVP session and I was thinking global, not at the time where I was at, which is crazy because I love Joshua Chamberlain. He led the 20th Maine. I was at Chamberlain's marker, but here I am and I go,
Right.
"Are you from Pennsylvania?" I'm in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. But at the time, I
Yeah.
didn't think, to say, "Are you from Maine?" But anyway, I said, "Are you from Pennsylvania?" But my EVP that I caught said, "No, Maine." And
Oh, wow.
I thought to myself, if I'd have said, "Are you from Maine?" and I got a yeah, that's so easily somebody could say, "Oh, that was the wind, that was your jacket, that was your hair, that was you touching the
Yeah.
recorder." How do you know that was really a yeah? But I got a distinct no, Maine. And I
Right.
listened to that and I was like, I was like, "Oh my god." I was like, "What?" Like it was the one of
Yeah.
the best emails I've ever gotten because I mean it was intelligent, it was direct, it was, I mean, correcting me. I
Yep.
was like, You from Pennsylvania, no Maine. So I love when things like that occur because how do you explain that?
Well, we, how do you explain this one? Ron, the other owner, my other partner in owning the building, he was in the bedroom sleeping. He was in his, he has his own bed there. He's there sleeping. There was a group of paranormal investigators in there that went into our old principal's office. And they were sitting in the principal's office, and yeah, the the principal was in the room, and one of the people go, "I hear you traffic children in the building," just being a smartass.
Oh,
And the principal made that person ill right away. Just told basically get out, just leave the
yeah.
room. They got an EVP that said get out, and he screamed it over the SB7, get out. Well, Ron is sleeping like 4 or 5 rooms away, and all of a sudden Ron wakes up and starts texting me because I was in the gym, and he's like, "You need to tell whatever it is to stop saying they're lying, they're lying, they're lying," over and over and over.
Oh,
And I'm
wow.
like, "Who's telling you this?" And he goes, "Well, it's just a voice in my head that keeps going over and over and over telling me they're lying. They woke me out of a dead sleep."
Oh,
And
wow.
I'm like, "Okay, this is really strange because those people just came down and said were told to get out after they said that the kids were being molested and trafficked."
That's so and that really is like the second you said that, I felt a certain way. I'm like, who would say that?
Right.
So I can only imagine, I mean, like, that whole feeling had to have gone through you know what I mean? Like that just had to like change the whole dynamic.
Everything in that building.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, none of that group that was there never got anything the rest of the night.
Okay. Well, I mean, who wants to talk to people that ask questions like that? Ugh, you know?
Right.
Um,
Right.
anyway, Um, Darren wants to know, Bill, have you noticed with teams that do 2 night stay, does the building react differently? This is a good
Yes, it
question.
does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. The first night people are there, Darren knows this right off the bat. If you're there one time, you'll get some interaction, with different people and stuff like you'll get different interactions with different spirits. We've had psychics and different mediums in there and stuff, and they say they're standing back, they're watching us. They're not interacting, they're just watching us. Well, then the second night that group stays, they get a buttload of information because now they're not afraid of you. They've already felt you out. They know how you're reacting to them, and they want to interact with you now if they feel it's safe to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is a bad thing to say, but I've had a lot of groups come in. I've been told I'm semi empathic. I'll feel if there's negativity in your group when you walk through that door.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
if there's somebody that's really truly negative in that group, I'll walk into the hallway and I'll go, everybody hide.
yeah,
And
yeah,
those people won't get that much that night.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. I do think I know that I this happened at I know I brought this up before, but Hinsdale, it happened at Hinsdale
Yeah.
with us. Like the first night we had some good activity. Second night was phenomenal. I mean, like we heard footsteps right behind
Yeah.
us, and I mean, it amped up. And I said, me and the girls were like, I wish we were staying one more night. We can't imagine what would happen if we were here another night, because of how it looked like it
Right.
just escalated.
Exactly.
And I agree with you. I think it's because, if you're in that right state of frame of mind, you can't be negative going into places like that. You can't be, this and that. You got to go with the right, you got to go open minded and you got to go with the right frame of mind.
Yes, you have to have the attitude. You have to have the attitude where you want you're trying to learn like they are, is the way I look at it.
Yeah.
If you go in with that attitude, with the respect, and you want to be talked to the way you talk to them the way you want to be talked to, they're going to just have a ball with you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you go in and say, "What's your name?" Stuff like that, that to me, that's just boring. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Now, have you been
And
able to anything that anybody's has gotten? We're almost out of time, but I just want to know, like, any type of EVPs or anything. Oh, bye, Bill. Hopefully he comes back. Suddenly I'm huge on the screen. Oh my god. Uh, hi, Craig. Oh boy. Let me back up because I don't want you guys all, in my grill. um maybe it's like the Cinderella thing, it's 9 o'clock, so or 9:30, so it can I say Nathan, or do you want me to call you Nathaniel? Nathan will be on in January, please. This is not normal for my show. I know. I actually now want to go there. Like, I know now, I'm like, okay, if you can stay there, here he comes. Here he comes. I think.
so yeah, I want to
Okay.
spirit follow me.
All right, go over. There we are. I was like talking, and all of a sudden it's just me. I'm like, oh, I was like, okay, it's just me.
No, it
um,
just went. My phone just went haywire.
I was gonna say, have you been able to, like, with EVPs or anything that you've gotten, have you been able to connect that with people that have worked there that know who or what is
Yes,
there? Or yes, I know that person, or
we
yeah.
the janitor, our janitor, his name is John Neuschwanger. The spirit's
Uh-huh.
there.
Yep.
Um, we have known people that know his family and said he loved that building,
Hold on.
and we've gotten his name through different.
It's
We
kind of
have gotten different. Okay, hang on.
no, you're good. You're good.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Our janitor's name is John Neuschwanger. We have people that knew his family and said yes, he loved that building. So yeah, we've actually connected, like our principal, Mr. Fiskerer. Mr. Fiskerer and his wife used to work at the building. And yes, he was a total ass because he was a total authoritarianism, however you say that word. He wanted total rule, and he wanted people to call him sir, and very fire and brimstone. And
Gotcha.
yes, his family still lives in the city of Broadhead. And they said, yes, that's exactly how he was like. He was
That's
just an
awesome.
ornery, mean old man.
And the
Um,
people that live in town, they accept what you're doing. They love what you're doing. They
it's divided half and half. Half does not want us doing this and resurrecting the past and all that stuff. And they think it's all
right.
total hooey and we're trying to just make money on this. And we've been called the red light district. We've been called everything. It's just because we're Satanists, because we're promoting all this evil stuff. And I'm like, no, 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 no. It's a very religious town. You know what I mean? And I said 9 out of 10 of the investigators that come through are devout Christians or whatever religion they're very good with you know, religion they deal with every day.
Yeah.
Um, so we're getting the town to look a little better at us. You know what I mean? The other half of the town is gung ho. They're like, "Oh, do it. Let's learn more history about our town. Let's do this." I'm actually working out a deal with downtown, since most of the other buildings are haunted, that they're going to start opening up some of these other buildings where you go investigate one an hour out of these 4 buildings, and then you get a full 6 hours to 8 hours at Broadhead Manor. You know what I
Totally in
mean?
with that. That sounds awesome.
And
I, I
you do the whole
imagine
town.
I imagine that that's so funny you said that, because a while back when you were talking about all the other buildings, I'm like, it's like a ghost town. You could totally just
Yes,
like investigate all these buildings. And I imagine the paranormal hangover for that would be worth it.
I that's I am not a paranormal investigator. I don't ever claim to be, and I don't want to be,
Right.
because I walk through my building and ignore 90% of the stuff that happens to me. I just brush it off because I'd go insane if I tried to deal with everything that happens in my building.
Right.
When you walk down a hallway and you have three doors that are open in front of you on the side of the hallway, and each one starts closing just before you get there, and that's not one door just moving, that's all three doors as you're walking past them.
It's
And
like a
I
sign that
tell
when one door closes, another one opens, your house is haunted. Did you
them
ever see
pretty
that
much. Yep.
meme? You should
And
get that.
the thing is, no, we have a better saying. It's in our thing. Please quit trespassing. We're tired of hiding the bodies. But it's just the fact of if I witnessed everything that I witness in that building, if I were to sit there and skepticize every single day, all the stuff that I hear and see, it there was one night it sounded like the whole roof collapsed on the third floor. It was
Oh,
that
wow.
loud. It sounded like steel hitting, glass breaking, everything. I go up there and there's not one thing touched.
Wow. I wonder if that was residual noises from the original building.
It could have been. We don't know yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, and if it wasn't just me that heard it, I would have thought I was crazy. But there were four other witnesses to that night that happening. You know what I mean? They all heard it and came from different directions in the building. Like, well, what the hell just happened to your building? And
That's
I'm like,
interesting.
I don't know. So we all went investigating and we couldn't find nothing. And then
Yes,
it was
I love phantom sounds. Love it.
well, then all of a sudden it was not even 20, 30 minutes later, we're all sitting in the gym and that same sound happened up in the third floor again. Like something crashed down. So we went back up there and not a single thing was disturbed.
Wow. Yeah,
So,
it was like the first thing that came to mind, and I'm not a psychic medium, or I'm not even empathic. I'm not, I'm just an investigator.
right.
But that to me sounds like it would be maybe, I call them phantom noises. Nathan says phantom sounds. You know, I,
Yes,
it could have been the 1865 building falling. I mean, that was
it
a
could have been.
even though nobody died, it was still a traumatic thing that happened. I mean, if people were burned
Right.
and there was a fire, and then they're knocking the building down, I think, if, the reason we investigate locations is because we believe that the walls and the buildings hold these
Yeah.
spiritual phenomena or energies and stuff like that. Why couldn't the building itself hold something like that?
Right.
Is that the
Now,
only time you've ever heard that?
there not it there are so many noises in that building. You just can't. That's the first time I heard the crash of the whole roof coming down. But like we were doing a episode for another YouTube channel, We Are Paranormal, and when they were there, we had we on our boiler room we've got these 300-pound blast doors. They weigh 300 pounds apiece.
Wow.
Well, it takes me. I'm a pretty big guy. It takes a lot of energy for me to swing that thing and slam it shut.
Mhm.
Well, there was somebody investigating by themselves down in the janitor's quarters. He thought he was by himself, but I was standing out by the blast door. Well, I slammed it shut 3 times and scared the ever living shit out of this guy that was down in that room.
Mhm.
Well, that was my joke. Okay. We got it on film to prove that it was me doing it just to scare this guy because this guy said he was fearless. We were just doing it to mess with him.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
we all went back in the room or back to the gym, which is the total opposite end of the building. You got to walk a long way to get down there. He's still down in there by himself, and we're listening to his mics that he's doing the solo investigation down there, and that door slammed shut twice after I did it, and there
Oh,
was nobody
interesting.
down in that room. It
Oh,
just
wow.
slammed twice. So I'm
Yeah,
like, okay, the janitor's down there messing with them.
yeah. Interesting that it sounds like it like really does like doppelganger like type of stuff
Yes.
with noises and stuff like that. That's interesting. I'm more intrigued to investigate it now than ever. after talking to you.
Oh, jeez.
Uh, so
Well,
really quick,
like I've told you in the past, if you make it out to Wisconsin, you are more than welcome to take one of my guest rooms, and I will host you there for free.
oh, thank you. Oh my God, that means so much to me. You have no idea how much that means. That's
Well,
I'm
I've been on the show with you and Darren before, and I've told you that in the past. That's just the
I
way I
know
am.
that's
If
amazing. I'm still
you
gonna donate. I will still donate.
you can donate,
Yes, I will still donate. And I definitely am going to take you up on that. And I just want you to tell people that are watching where they can go. And because you had said that you open up weekends, so you don't have this available every weekend. You pick certain
no.
weekends of the year.
Well, what we've done is we're trying to work on an event schedule for next year. We're closing down the building as of November 18th. That's the last day we're going to host anything. We
Okay,
shut down for the winter. I have no heat in the building and I have no running water. So I'm not going up there to freeze.
right.
And I need a break from the building for at least 2 to 3 months. We open up March 1st. And if you follow Broadhead Manor at Facebook, you will see the dates that we're going to be putting up. We're going to have 5 public ghost hunts next year. We're doing 3 separate paracons next year. One's going to be a horror con for the haunted house related thing. One is going to be like an anime con, and then one's going to be an actual paracon.
Oh, that
Um,
sounds fun.
that's all in that's all different months of next year. Plus, there's some weekends on Friday nights we want to get local bands to come in and play and get their names out there and stuff like that. So
Absolutely.
we will post the dates that we're going to have available each month as we go into next year. So we can start booking in January and let people get set up. And if you ever want to come investigate, just message me at Broadhead Manor. And remember, it's Brodhead
Yes.
and Manor at Facebook.
Yes.
We do not have a website up yet. We're just at Facebook.
Awesome.
Message me there if you have a date that you'd like to come out and like let's say you want June 1st, but I'm having a Paracon that weekend. I'll tell you to come up, bring your group up, and join the group that's investigating that night. I'll give it to you half price because you already have another group booked. You know what I mean? I will
Oh,
not
that's
double book. I will not double book unless your group is good with it. You know what I mean?
right.
Um,
Now, can people, I know you said weekends, if somebody was like, hey, can I come Tuesday, Wednesday? Can I come Wednesday, Thursday?
if if you get a hold of me and you have a special time and a special date, wait, Nathaniel, yes, you can send me a friend request.
Yeah,
um,
he just said he's going to be following the page after the live. So,
yeah. Um, Basically, if you have a specific time and date and stuff like that, I will accommodate. I have no problem with driving up there and meeting you there, opening the building up, spending the whole night with you guys up there or whoever's there, and then the next day just driving back home.
awesome.
All I do is Monday. We normally don't book Monday night through Thursday night just to give me a little bit of a break. But 9 times out of 10, I'm sitting home with my thumb on my butt, so I may as well go out and do something and have some fun.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Um, awesome.
See,
I,
I'm a people, I'm a, pe- I'm a people person. I like to meet new people. I like to interact with new people. So just come out and have fun.
yeah. And that's what makes you a good location owner. One, your all the money you make goes back into the location. Amazing.
Yes.
Two, it's affordable for people, where a lot of the places nowadays. So that just goes to show you you're not in this for the money, you are in it to restore the
No,
location. And that's what's important, you know. Um, what I love as a
we
paranormal
take all donations.
yeah, what I love as a paranormal investigator, even if I'm not physically, fixing windows and fixing doors and I'm, taking trash out, at least my donation or whatever I do to go there, even if I collect EVPs or like Nathaniel coming on and never hearing about it. Now he's like, I'm gonna go and I want to stay there, and
Yeah.
I want to invest. For me, I'm a part of the history of that building being restored. I'm a part of that history of
Yes,
that building.
you are.
And that as a paranormal investigator, because history means so much to me, that that's worth the drive to Wisconsin, or if I have to fly, I don't know how far it is, but the drive to Wisconsin I mean, it's so affordable, you're not, and the fact that you can stay
Right.
there too. So you're not paying to investigate and then paying for a hotel, as
And
well, which is pricey.
another thing is 4 blocks away from us, there's a new Airbnb that just opened up. But they got 5 rooms, and they're working with Broadhead Manor that if you stay there, it's only $80 a night to stay in an.
Perfect.
Whoop, sorry about
I
that.
mean, even that. Yeah. I think you said it's only $80 a night. Correct?
For the Airbnb, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
worked out a price with us.
That's awesome.
So
That's
if you want to stay at that, everybody in the town is working with us. If the local bars are giving discounts to people that are attending Broadhead Manor, just to come in and eat their food and have a couple drinks.
spirits and spirits, right?
Yes. Well, we laugh our ass off because at 11 o'clock every single night, our building goes dead. It's absolutely dead silent from 11 till 12:30, and at 12:30 that it picks back up. Well, I tell everybody,
Interesting.
yeah, they go down to the local bar, smash some beer bottles around, and then they come back down to us.
Interesting. I'm looking forward to getting out there. To be honest with you, I think that's great. I think it's awesome that you have this building and you opened it up to everybody. And everything you're doing. I appreciate. Thank you so much.
You're
And
welcome.
thank you for coming on. I know you're out of town, and you're helping your mom, but I appreciate you coming on. And
Oh, not a problem.
I look forward to being in touch with you and setting something up to come out.
Any day, anytime. You just let me know and I'll be there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for watching. Darren, Nathan, everybody watching and checking in. And please go
Hi, Amy.
follow, share Broadhead Manor. And hopefully, I can get out there and do a live investigation at some point if or at least get out there and investigate. I definitely want to do it.
I'd love to
So
have you out.
I will be in touch.
All right.
Ken, Bill, I love you. You're
Love
great.
you
Thank
too.
you so
You have a
much.
great night. We'll talk
Good
to you
night,
soon.
honey. Good night.
Bye bye.
Good night, everybody out there and watching the brew. Love y'all. Join me next week. Sorry. Thank you. Good night. Sorry, I'm a little sick, but the show must go on. So I apologize for the tea and the coughing and all that stuff. But please join me next week. I love you guys. Thank you. I'm big again. I will see you guys next time.